عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Alhamdulillah, we've arrived at day 9 or day 10 in the month of Ramadan. Alhamdulillah, this completes basically 1/3 of the month. We've completed 1/3 of the month in the month of Ramadan. Lillahi alhamd. That means that we have a total of 3 weeks to go, 20 days left, 21 days left. As you can see, the time is moving by very quickly. And for those of us who are taking advantage of that opportunity, alhamdulillah, consider yourself blessed. And those of us who are sitting, just allowing the days go by, just trying to get through the fast, right? You're torturing yourself. Because there's so much that you can be learning, so much that you can be gaining during these days, during these hours that are passing by very quickly. Literally, the hours, they go by like minutes in this month. And for those of us who spend the majority of our time sleeping, for those of us who spend the majority of our times watching TV and on the internet trying to pass the time by because you have nothing else to do, you're torturing yourself, honestly. There's so much to do, so much to learn, so much to benefit from. And, whoever takes advantage of that, alhamdulillah, then, alhamdulillah, consider yourself blessed. So we skipped yesterday, and I apologize about that because we had an event yesterday. So we were busy, doing some other things, but alhamdulillah, we're right back on schedule. And we've arrived today at dua. For us, dua number 9. We've covered 8 dua so far. All right, 8 dua so far. That is the dua of Prophet Adam alayhi salam. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. We covered the dua of Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. We covered the dua of Prophet Yunus alayhi salam. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. We covered the dua of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. رب اجعلني مقيم الصلاة ومن ذريتي ربنا وتقبل دعاء. We've covered the dua of Prophet Musa, one of the many dua of Prophet Musa alayhi salam. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري. Oh my Lord, expand for me my chest and make ease for me my task. We've covered the dua of who else? That's 5. We covered the dua of Prophet Zakaria, Jazakallah khair. The dua of Prophet Zakaria, Rabbi la tadharni fardan wa anta arhamur rahimin. Oh my Lord, do not leave me alone without an heir, without someone to inherit my shahada, my understanding of la ilaha illallah. The dua of Prophet Yunus, we said Yunus, nada fi dhulumat la ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu min al-zalimin. There's nothing worthy of worship except you. Glory be to you, indeed I was wrong. And we covered the dua of ar-rasikhuna fil ilm, those who are firmly grounded in knowledge. And they say, رَبَّنَا لَا تُزِغْ قُلُوبَنَا بَعْدَ إِذْ هَدَيْتَنَا وَهَبْ لَنَا مِن لَّدُنكَ رَحْمَةً إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْوَهَّابُ. O my Lord, do not lead our hearts astray after you have guided them. وَهَبْ لَنَا مِن لَّدُنكَ رَحْمَةً, and give us from amongst yourself mercy. إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْوَهَّابُ. Indeed, you are Al-Wahhab, the bestower, the giver. Jazakallah khair. Abu Musa, Prophet Ayub, where he said, Rabbi anni massani ad-dur wa anta arhamur rahimin. Oh my Lord, harms, severe distress has seized me. Wa anta arhamur rahimin, and you are the most merciful of those who have mercy. So we've arrived now tonight at dua number 9, bi'idhnillah. And this is the dua of the father of Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, and that is the dua of Prophet Yaqub. So let me give you the backstory of Prophet Yaqub so that when we reach the dua, it actually makes a little bit more sense to you. All right, Prophet Yaqub, inshallah ta'ala, he was known as Israel. When we say Bani Israel, Israel is Yaqub. So we're talking about the children of Jacob. The children of Prophet Jacob, Bani Israel. All right, when we think about a man in pain, there's no greater example of a man in pain than that of a man who has lost two of his sons. Losing one son would be enough, but here is a man who lost two of his children. Lost them. I mean, there's, when you think about someone in pain, we're thinking about someone who has lost a child. Not that the child has died, but the child has disappeared. And the difference between a child dying and a child disappearing is that a child dying, you can bury your child and you can have some peace with that, right? You can have some peace with that situation. Your child disappearing and you not knowing whether the child is alive, whether the child is somewhere being tortured, whether the child is somewhere being hurt, whether the child is somewhere being oppressed, whether the child is okay or not okay, that will drive you crazy. And in the case of Prophet Yaqub, he actually end up going blind. أَبْيَضَّتْ عَيْنَاهُ مِنَ الْحُزْنِ وَهُوَ كَظِيمٌ. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that his eyes went white. He went blind, crying over the loss of his son. If any one of you, let me bring you as close, نُقَرِّبُكُمْ. Let me bring you as close to this pain as I possibly can. While sitting from a place of privilege, obviously. If you have ever lost a child in the mall or at a store, right? Or at a hotel or, wherever. You're walking somewhere with the child, you let the child's hand go for a second to do something and you turn around and the child is gone. That's about as close as I could come to the pain that a parent could experience, that would give you some idea or understanding of what it means to lose a child. All right? For a child to run away. You ever had a teenage child that just comes home, gets into an argument with you, and then sneaks out of the house? You don't know where they are. You're calling around trying to find out where the kid is. You're calling all of the parents that child knows. You are in panic mode. Absolutely. Extreme panic. Anxiety. Literally, your heart is pumping out of your chest. All right? And Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam, he went blind, crying for days on end over his sons. Even he cried so much, right, that his sons, the other sons, they said to him, Tallahi la tafta'u tadhkuru Yusuf hatta takuna haradan aw takuna min al-halikin. That you are never going to cease to remember Yusuf until you are fatally ill or you kill yourself. This is what his other sons said to him, trying to calm him down. This is Yaqub crying profusely day in, day out over the loss of his sons, Yusuf and Binyamin. You understand? You ever had a teenage kid that just leave the home? You ever wake up at night and go in the room and check on your kids and your teenage child is not home? Do you know what that feels like? I don't know what it feels like, but I've done it to my parents. And I can only imagine how I would feel going into my child's room at 2 o'clock in the morning to go around to the different rooms and check on my children and to find that your child is not in the bed. You're frantically, you go downstairs, you're looking around, looking for your kid. You don't know where this kid is. I've been fortunate enough never to have had that experience, but I have done that to my parents. Absolutely, you don't know what to do or where to start. You don't know what to do. You're making phone calls trying to figure out where is this kid. You get in your car and you're driving around the neighborhood trying to find out where this kid is. When I was growing up, we had a rule, don't leave off the block, right? You grow up in this environment, you stay on this street. You can ride your bike up and down the street. Do not leave off of this block. And, unfortunately, 4th Ave had, in East Orange had a way of drawing you in. There was a pizza store in the corner, and you could get a slice of pizza and a thing of soda for $1. So with $1.25, you could get a slice of pizza, you get a can of soda, and you get to play a video game, Miss Pac-Man, which was in the store. And so I'm in there playing Miss Pac-Man, and I feel someone grab me by the back of my neck and yank me off of, and it's my mother. I told you not to leave off the block. I've been running up and down the street looking for you. You don't know until you become a parent the type of trauma that you cause your parents. You don't understand, right? You don't understand the trauma that you put your parents through as something as simple as deviating from the instructions that they gave you. Because as a child, you see, everyone is doing this, or I just want to go over here real quick, and you're not thinking. But the parent is going crazy, frantically running around looking for you. So I'm just trying to give you an idea, right? Just trying to give you an idea of some of what Prophet Yaqub experienced, all right? So this is on a small scale, the trepidation, the anxiety that one feels in those moments, man, in those moments are unexplainable. I could do everything that I possibly can in my power to paint you a picture, but you will never know. Those minutes seem like hours. Waiting for your child to come home, and then you're sitting there on your living room couch trying to figure out what to do, and here comes your child strolling in the house as if it's nothing, and you're sitting on the couch looking at the child like, where in the world have you been? You understand? The Quran does a great job of capturing the relationships between men and their sons. The Quran, mashallah, tabarakallah, a familial manifesto. You want to talk about family, structure and how to raise a family and how men interact with their children. You need to look no further than the Quran. The Quran does a magnificent job of capturing the relationships between men and their sons. All right, whether it is the story of Prophet Sulaiman and his father Dawood, whether it is the story of Luqman the wise and his son, there's a whole chapter in the Quran named after Luqman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَإِذْ قَالَ لُقْمَانُ لِابْنِهِ وَهُوَ يَعِظُهُ يَا بُنَيَّ لَا تُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ. And remember when Luqman was having a conversation with his son, and he said, Ya bunay, O my son, la tushrik billah, do not associate partners with Allah. To the end of that passage. Whether it is Prophet Ibrahim and his father Azar, وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ لِأَبِيهِ آزَرَ لَا تَتَّخِذُوا أَصْنَامًا آلِهَةً. And remember when Ibrahim was addressing his father, O my father, do not take idols as gods besides Allah. In Surah Al-Taha, Allah captures a very intimate conversation between Ibrahim and his father. Where he says, Ya abati, la ta'bud al-shaytan. Ya abati, inni akhafu ayya masaka adhabun min al-Rahman. That conversation, that intimate conversation between a father and his son, Prophet Ibrahim and his father Azar. Whether it is Prophet Ibrahim and his son Ismail, when they were building the Kaaba together and they were making dua together. رَبِّ جَعَلْنَا مُسْلِمَيْنِ لَكَ وَمِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِنَا أُمَّةً مُسْلِمَةً لَكَ وَأَرِنَا مَنَاسِكَنَا وَتُبْ عَلَيْنَا. Right? Subhanallah. Allah captured Ibrahim and his son building the Kaaba. They're doing work together. Father and son. Right? Father and son building a house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala together. And they made dua, رَبِّ جَعَلْنَا مُسْلِمَيْنِ. Oh my Lord, make us two, meaning my father and my son, make us two مُسْلِمَيْنِ لَكَ. Muslims who submit themselves to you. وَذُرِّيَّتِنَا. And from amongst our children, أُمَّةً مُسْلِمَةً لَكَ. A nation of Muslims. Right? This was Ibrahim and his son. building the Kaaba together and making dua together that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make them Muslims and make their children Muslims. Alright? Whether it is Prophet Ismail and Ibrahim, or Prophet Yahya and Zakaria, or Prophet Yaqub and his sons, the Quran does an awesome job, a great job of capturing the relationship between fathers and sons. And the intimacy of these relationships is undeniable. Right? So you can imagine the pain of Prophet Yaqub when he made the dua that we are going to cover today about the loss of his sons. So you can see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did a beautiful, thing for us by capturing the Quran just in different places all throughout the Quran, of capturing the relationship between men and their sons. Men and their sons. So for all the men who boast about being on the Sunnah, all of the men who boast about being on the Haqq, all the men who boast about being this or that, look towards the Quran and these examples of men and how they interact with their sons. And then you ask yourself, with all this haqq that you are on, with all of this truth that you are upon, are you exemplifying and demonstrating and illustrating the behavior of the prophets and messengers in the Quran with their sons, with your sons? Yusuf alayhi salam was very dear to his father. They had a very, beautiful relationship between Prophet Yusuf and his father. And as a father, sometimes you find your heart inclines towards one son or towards one child more than the other. This is not necessarily by, any fault of your own. It's just, that's just the default of your heart's inclination. Some hearts just incline towards some people more than it does others. And as parents, this happens even between our own children. Even between our children. It doesn't mean that we love them any less, but you cannot love people equally the same. That is humanly impossible. In my book, The Revolution of Love, I talk about, there's a chapter, can a man in polygyny, can a man love more than one woman? Yes, he can, but he cannot love them the same. He cannot love them the same. That is not even humanly possible, to love two people exactly the same. You don't even love your mother and father the same. Even though you love them, there's a general love that you have for your mother and your father, but there may be one parent that your heart just breaks for. Your heart just inclines more towards that parent more than the other, and that could be due to a plethora of reasons. Because one parent treats you a certain way, right? One parent treats you a certain way more than the other parent, or because you know one parent's story, and that story, that why behind that parent, your heart just causes you to break for that parent, causes you to, incline and be more understanding and sympathetic to that parent because you understand his or her struggle, you understand their past and their history, for a number of reasons. And these are with your parents, and it happens even with your children. The Prophet ﷺ, he made a dua. He said, Allahumma hada qasmi fima amlik, fala talummani fima la amlik wa tamlik. He said, oh Allah, this is the distribution that I have control over amongst my wives. So do not hold me accountable for the thing that I have no control over and you have control over. He made this dua as it relates to how he interacted, how he dealt fairly with his wives. He said, oh Allah, this is my distribution amongst my wives in the things that I have control over. Meaning his time, his money. These are things that you have control over. He says, so don't hold me accountable for the thing that I have no control over. And that is who his heart inclined towards more than the other. He didn't even have any control over that. This is the Prophet ﷺ with his wives. It didn't mean that he loved any of them any less. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, she said the Prophet ﷺ, he never used to show favoritism amongst his wives. This was Aisha alayhi salatu wasalam. She said the Prophet ﷺ never showed favoritism between his wives. And that after Salatul Asr, he would come around to the homes of his wives and he would visit each and every one of them. There was no favoritism. However, when the Prophet ﷺ was asked, who do you love the most out of all of the people? He said, from amongst the men or women? He said, from amongst the women. He said, Aisha. He said, Aisha. No pun intended. But that is who his heart inclined towards more than the other. This is not favoritism, because it is an inclination of something that you have no control over. Sometimes our heart breaks for one of our children. We see one child and we're looking at them from a parent's, perspective, and we're saying this child is going to have a lot of struggle going on in their lives. The child may be lazy. The child might not be a self-starter. The child might not be self-motivated, or the child may be green and, just very naive. The child may be very super sincere, and as a result of that, the other siblings take advantage of them. It's from a parent's perspective. We see children from a place where they don't see themselves. And there's some from amongst our children that our heart just breaks for. And the other children see it as, oh, well, you're showing favoritism. No. I just incline towards this child more because I understand this child's why. I see this child from a place that you don't see him or her. And so from the child's perspective, because it's very limited, their worldview is very shallow, very limited. So they accuse you of showing favoritism. They might tease one kid, oh, you're Abby's favorite, or you're mommy's favorite, right? And you might actually be. Own it. Don't keep, trying to circumvent that. Don't say, when someone says, oh, you're mommy's favorite. No, I'm not. Come on. You are. Stop it. You are. Own it. But you're mommy's favorite for reasons that mommy understands that we don't understand. And you don't realize that until you become a parent on your own and you have to run into the same dilemma with your own children. As it relates to the things that you do have control over, then yes, it would be considered favoritism, right? On the authority of Amir, قال سمعت النعمان وهو على المنبر يقول أعطاني أبي عطية فقالت أمرة بنت رواحة لا أرضى حتى تشهد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فأتى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال إني أعطيت ابني من عمرة بنت رواحة فأمرتني أن أشهدك يا رسول الله فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أعطيت سائر والدك مثل هذا قال لا قال فارجع فرد عليهم. That Nu'man ibn Bashir, he was one of the beloved youth of the Prophet ﷺ, and his father Amir gave him a gift one day. Amir was married to a woman by the name of Amra bint Rawaha, and she had children from a previous marriage. So that means that Amir and her had stepchildren that they co-parented with, that were not Amir's biological children. And Amir had a biological son with her. He had a biological son with her. And that son was named Nu'man ibn Bashir. So one day he came home and he gave Nu'man a gift. So Amra, the mother, she said, no, how are you going to give one child a gift and not give them all a gift? She said, Wallahi, I will not accept this. You're not going to give one kid a gift and not give the rest a gift. I'm not going to accept this until you take this to the Prophet ﷺ and he bears witness that this is okay. These people were on the sunnah. You hear me? These were Sahaba that would not allow a man to do something in the home until you go bring me dalil. No, you're not going to do that. Today, women just kind of acquiesce because you believe that the man, he sits in classes, he sits in lectures, he knows more than you know. Believe it or not, they don't. Let me just be honest with you. A lot of the men that boast of sitting in classes and can quote scholars, believe it or not, a lot of them are ignorant. A lot of them are misinformed and they don't have the whole picture. I'm just peeling a layer off, allowing you to see it for what it is. And all you got to do is ask them to go bring me dalil. I'm not going to accept that until you go bring me evidence from the Quran and the Sunnah. Amra bint Rawaha, she said, no, you're not going to give this kid of mine one gift and exclude the other kids. She said, go and get the Prophet ﷺ to bear witness to this, and then I'll accept it. So Amr, he went to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, O Messenger of Allah, I have a child by Amra. Me and Amra, we have a child together, and I gave that child a gift. And Amra said she would not be content with that until I get you to bear witness to it. So the Prophet ﷺ, he asked Amir, he said, he said, did you give the same gift to the rest of your children? Did you give the same gift to the rest of your children? And Amr, he said, no. The Prophet ﷺ said, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهِ وَعْدِلُوا بَيْنَ أَوْلَادِكُمْ. He said, fear Allah. Fear Allah and be fair between your children. How are you going to give one child something and not give it to the other? Fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and be fair between your children. In another narration, he said, فَلَا تُشْهِدْنِي إِذًا فَإِنِّي لَا أُشْهِدْ عَلَى جَوْرٍ. The Prophet ﷺ said, don't make me a witness to your oppression, man. Don't make me a witness to your oppression, man. How you going to give one child something and not give it to the rest of the children and then come to me for me to validate that? Don't make me a witness to your oppression to your children, man. In another narration, the Prophet ﷺ, he said to Amir, he said, أَيَسُرُّكَ أَنْ يَكُونَ بُنُونُكَ فِي الْبِرِّ سَوَى. He said, do you want all of your children to respect you? Do you want all of your children to obey you? Right? Or do you want some of your kids to obey you? Right? You're going to give some of your children a gift and not give it to the others. So then that means that you're okay with some of your children being obedient to you and some of your children not being obedient to you. Are you okay with that? If you're not okay with that, then go back and be fair to your children. Very profound words from the Prophet ﷺ. So if a parent inclines towards a child in something that they have no control over, meaning their heart, you understand? They are not responsible for that. But if in the things that you do have the ability to show, fairness in giving gifts and, doing things like that, if you have the ability to show fairness in those things, then you have to show fairness in those things. There are times in which the scholars mention that it is permissible for a parent to give one child one thing and not to give a child another. And that is in the cases of, for example, compensation. You say, whoever does this, then I'm going to give them this. And then the one child does it and the other child was too lazy to do it. Then you give the compensation to that kid. All right? Because they had an equal opportunity. One took advantage of it. The other one didn't. Or in the case of competition, you say, all right, during the month of Ramadan, whoever memorizes the most Quran at the end of Ramadan, I'm going to give them this gift. One child excels the other, and you give them the gift. There was a competition. So in the form of compensation or competition, things like this, but in just general gift giving, it is not permissible to separate or to give one child one thing and to exclude the others. However, Prophet Yaqub's other sons, Prophet Yaqub had two wives. He had Binyamin and Yusuf from one wife, and he had the other 9 children, the other 9 boys from another wife. All right? And this is where people in polygyny need to be careful, in that when the wives start having problems with each other, the children, that trickles down into the children and how the children view their step-parents. All right? So if the man has children from both wives or multiple wives, the women have to be careful in how they interact with one another so as to not trickle down into the children and the children feel like one parent is showing this one favoritism or one is showing another one favoritism. All right? And Prophet Yaqub's other sons from his other wife, they made a request to take Yusuf with them one day. They said to Prophet Yaqub, قالوا يا أبانا ما لك لا تأمنا على يوسف إنا له لناصحون أرسله معنا غدي يرتع ويلعب إنا له لحافظون. The sons, they came to Yaqub one day and they said, why is it that you don't trust us to let Yusuf come out and play with us? Indeed, we will protect him. We are nasihun, we are sincere. We just want to bring him out to have fun with us. They said, Arsilhu ma'ana, let Yusuf come with us tomorrow and let him joke, let him play, and we will protect him. However, Yaqub was a little apprehensive. Yaqub was apprehensive because he was well aware of their jealousy of or towards Yusuf and Binyamin. He was aware. This was a father who not detached from his home, and he's not aware of the little nuances. He was aware. What did he say to Yusuf when Yusuf first said to him that he saw in a dream that the sun, the moon, the stars were all prostrating to him, right? And what did Prophet Yaqub say to his son? He said, "Ya bunay, la taqsus ru'yaka ala ikhwatika fayakidu laka kayda." He said, "O Yusuf, my beloved son, do not tell your other brothers about your dream, or they will plot against you." You understand? He was aware of their jealousy. He was aware of it. So when they came to him asking him permission to take Yusuf out with them, he was a little apprehensive because he was aware of their jealousy, right? He was aware of your jealousy. And he said to them, he said, "Inni la yahzunni an tadhhabu bi wa akhafu an ya'kulahu dhi'bu wa antum anhu ghafilun." Yaqub, he responded to them by saying, the only thing that bothers me about you taking Yusuf with you, he said that I fear that a wolf will eat him while you are unaware of him. This was basically Yaqub expressing to them his fear, that I don't think that you're going to take care of him the way that you claim. I don't think that you are going to take care of him the way that you claim. All right? So, lo and behold, they took Yusuf with them, and they came back with blood on their shirt. They slaughtered an animal, and they spilled the blood on the shirt so they can make it seem like, in fact, he had been eaten by a wolf, when in fact they threw him into a well and were trying to figure out what should they do with him. They plotted to kill him. They said, "No, don't kill him." Some of them said, "We can kill him and then we can make Tawbah later. Let's do the crime now and then we can repent later on." This is the mentality, the thinking of some Muslims, right? We can do the sin now and then we can repent later. No, not at all. Because later may not come to you. Later may not come. So what happened? They came with the shirt. وَجَاءُوا أَبَاهُمْ إِشَاءً يَبْكُونَ. They came to their father, Yaqub, at night crying, faking like they were really sad about what happened. And they told Prophet Yaqub that he had فَأَكَلَهُ الذِّئْبُ, that he had been eaten by a wolf while we were unaware. This is, and then, he's been gone for some time. He goes to Yusuf, he goes to Egypt. He's raised in the house of the, Aziz. The woman tries to seduce him. He goes to prison. He leaves prison. He's put in a position where he's the treasurer over the wealth of Egypt. All right. And then the brothers go and they try to bring Yaqub, or try to convince Yaqub. Yaqub's been crying so much that his eyes go blind. His eyes go blind. And then he makes the dua that we're going to cover tonight. When they said to him, قَالُوا تَاللَّهِ لَتَفْتَأُ تَذْكُرُ يُوسُف حَتَّى تَكُونَ هَرَضًا أَوْ تَكُونَ مِنَ الْحَالِكِينَ. They said, "Oh, our father, you are going to continue mentioning and remembering Yusuf until you are fatally ill or you kill yourself." And he said, Prophet Yaqub, he said, إِنَّمَا أَشْكُ بَثِّي وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ وَأَعْلَمُ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. I complain of my suffering and my grief only to Allah. And I know about Allah what you don't know. Meaning I have hope that Allah is going to return my son to me. He's going to return my sons to me. So the dua is, إِنَّمَا أَشْكُ بَثِّي وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. 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 I complain about my bathi, my grief, my suffering, وَحُزْنِي, and my grief only to Allah. I don't complain to anybody else because nobody else cares. Nobody else can hear your pain like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can hear your pain. No one. Wallah al-azim. No one can feel your pain. No one can hear your pain like your Lord Rabbul Alameen, like your Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to complain to anyone else before complaining to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is counterproductive to your position as a servant of Ar-Rahman. If you serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then serve Him correctly and place Him before everybody else. If you serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then serve Him correctly and place Him before. نُقَدِّمُ اللَّهُ subhanahu wa ta'ala عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ وَعَلَى كُلِّ أَحَدٍ. We give precedence to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala over everything and everyone. No one understands your pain. No one hears you like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the moment we understand that, the moment we drop down into sujood and we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we pour our hearts out to Him, because He understands, He hears, and He actually does care. You can call somebody on the phone and say, hey, this happened, that happened. Meanwhile, they're on their cell phones. Meanwhile, they're doing something else in the kitchen. They're doing something else with someone else. They got you on a third-party conversation. Hold on, I'll tell. People don't really care about your problems, man. People don't care about your problems. People only care about your problems when your problem involves them. They have a stake in your problem because your problem includes them. But if your problem is independent of them, they don't care anything about your problems. Oh, I feel so sorry for you. Feeling sorry for me does not indicate to me you care. You don't care about my problem when you say, I feel sorry for you. That means that you have separated yourself from my pain and you sit from a place of privilege and you actually look at my painful situation as something that is a horrible situation and you sympathize with it, but you don't empathize. You sympathize, but you don't empathize. You don't care. So understand, to complain, right? Complain of your suffering and your grief only to the one that can respond to you, only to the one that can get you out of the situation that you are in. Even if you complain to another human being, there's not but so much that human being can do for you. The human being cannot do anything. They may be as limited as you are. So what would be the sense? What would be the benefit in complaining to somebody who is just as limited in your situation as you are? So to complain, he said, إِنَّمَا أَشْكُو بَثِّي وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. I only complain about my suffering and my grief to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I only complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That does not mean that you cannot complain to your mom, your dad, or a family member, but we start with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That does not mean that we can't turn to someone and ask them for help, but we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first. We turn to Allah first. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help first. And then we go out and seek help through His creation, realizing that His creation are just going to facilitate to us whatever He has decreed for us to have. Another human being is only a facilitator of whatever good Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has for you. So we go to the place where it all originates from, and that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You guys following me? إِنَّمَا أَشْكُو بَثِّي وَحُسْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. I only complain of my suffering and my grief to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can hear the pain in Prophet Yaqub's voice. He lost two of his sons. And you can see the close relationship that he had with Yusuf alayhi salam. And to lose a son and then turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to complain, to give you that peace, that security, to know that whatever hit you was never going to miss you, and whatever missed you was never going to hit you. This is Aqeedah 101. This is having the correct Islamic faith and understanding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I know it's easier said than done, that when we're in these painful situations, it's very, difficult to turn all of our energy towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Think about all of the energy that we exert, complaining to this one, complaining to that one, complaining to that one, before we even go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. before we even go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We complain to everybody else before we even take our complaint to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The next time your spouse comes to you complaining, the next time your child comes to you complaining, stop them and say, with all due respect, I care about your situation, but take it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first. Did you take it to Allah? I hear you complaining to me. Did you complain to Allah? Because He's the only one that can do something about your situation. You can complain to me all day. I'll lend you an ear, but there's not much I can do to help you. Why not take your complaints to someone that can get the job done? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mudabbir. He manages the affairs of His servants as He sees fit. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned at the end of the hadith, إني أدبر أمر عبادي بما أعلم من بعلمي بقلوبهم وأنا عليم خبير. That I manage the affairs of my servants based upon my knowledge of their hearts, and I am alimun khabir. I am all knowledgeable and well aware. I am well aware of my servant's condition. Right? Musa and Harun was sent to Fir'aun, and they said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we fear that we fear that Fir'aun is going to transgress against us. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said to them, اذهبا فإني معكما أسمع وأرى. Go to Fir'aun like I told you to. إني معكما, I'm with you. أسمع وأرى. I see you and I hear you. I see you and I hear you. Go do what I told you to do. Don't worry. لا تخافا إني معكما أسمع وأرى. Don't fear. I know what I told you to do. I know who I told you to go to, but I'm also with you. I hear you and I see you. How can you go wrong when you have a Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala watching over you? How can you go wrong when you have a Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala watching over you? He sends angels. Not only is Allah watching you, but He also sends angels to watch over you and protect you. How could you go wrong? How could you go wrong and you have angels? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-An'am, وَنُرْسِلُ إِلَيْهِمْ حَفَظًا حَتَّى إِذَا جَاءَ أَحَدَهُمُ الْمَوْتُ تَوَفَّتْهُمْ رُسُلُنَا وَهُمْ لَا يُفَرِّطُونَ ثُمَّ رُدُّوا إِلَى مَوْلَاهُمُ الْحَقِّ ثُمَّ رُدُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ مَوْلَاهُمُ الْحَقِّ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and we send to them حَفَظًا. These are angels that are sent to protect you. وَنُرْسِلُ إِلَيْهِمْ حَفَظًا. We send to them حَفَظًا, angels that protect them. حَتَّى إِذَا جَاءَ أَحَدُهُمُ الْمَوْتِ. Until your time to die comes and the angels back away from you. They let death overtake you. ثُمَّ رُدُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ مَوْلَاهُمُ الْحَقِّ. And then they are returned to their true Lord, their true guardian, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Notice here, Allah says He sends to them angels al-hafadha that guard them and protect them, right? He said until death comes to one of them, all right? And then the angels let what is to happen to you overtake you, because death is written for you, you have to die. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, ثُمَّ رُدُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ مَوْلَاهُمُ الْحَقِّ. And then they are returned to Allah, their true protector. Meaning the angels are not your real protectors. They just guard you by the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your true protector is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ثُمَّ رُدُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ مَوْلَاهُمُ الْحَقِّ. Then they are returned back to Allah, their true guardian. This is the one that guards you and protects you. So understand that we complain only of our grief, only of our sorrow to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنَّمَا أَشْكُو بَثِّي وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ وَأَعْلَمُ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. That I only complain of my suffering and my grief only to Allah, because I know about Allah what you don't know. I know about Allah what you don't know. So it's a matter of knowledge, it's a matter of ilm, it's a matter of understanding, and we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to grasp and understand this. هذا وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين وجزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.